It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life brings you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. Joining me today is Stephanie Arnold, a woman who during the birth of her second child suffered a rare and often fatal condition called an amniotic fluid embolism. This condition caused Stephanie to die for 37 seconds. She's here today to discuss what she experienced during that time and to share the lessons she's learned. Welcome, Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me.
Well, Stephanie, this is an amazing story because during the birth of your second child, as I said, you flatlined for 37 seconds. But
I did.
That wasn't a surprise to you, was it? Because throughout your pregnancy, you had this premonition that you were going to die. So did you tell anyone what you were experiencing then?
I told everyone what was going to happen to me. It wasn't just the overwhelming sense of foreboding. It was, I had 6 very detailed premonitions to the fact that my organs were going to combine, I was going to hemorrhage, I was going to need a hysterectomy, that the baby was going to be fine, that I'd be needing to be on general anesthesia, and then I would ultimately die.
Had anything like this ever happened to you before, or are you naturally intuitive?
I've had intuitive thoughts, but half of the time I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really look at it as, oh, I'm psychic or I'm intuitive. I just thought that it was a freak thing that I guessed correctly, that somebody was going to die and they did, or something was going to happen and it did. But like I said, half the time I was wrong. So I kind of compartmentalized the quote unquote freaky side
Mm-hmm.
to me and just ignored it.
So how did the doctors respond to what you were saying? Did anyone believe you?
In their defense, I had many, many tests. I had ultrasounds, I had MRIs, I had blood workup. I had everything that in their mind on their tests and on their charts would have indicated a problem. So at one point, after so many consultations, they were like, she's crazy. She's pregnant, she's hormonal.
Right.
And my husband was trying to do everything he could just to calm me down, but I felt like I was on a runaway freight train headed for a brick wall, but I was the only one that could see the brick wall.
Okay, so Stephanie, take us now to the delivery room.
So the day I went into delivery was a surprise to all of us because I was scheduled for a mandatory 37-week C-section. And at 36 weeks to the day, I started bleeding all over the kitchen floor. My husband happened to be in New York at the time, and I called him and I said, we're having a baby today. So he rushed to get on a plane. I drove my daughter and myself and a friend to the hospital and checked into labor and delivery. And, everything was calm. Everything was fine. And then Jonathan, my husband, was texting me, like Skype chatting on the Wi-Fi on the plane, telling me, okay, how's everything going? And the doctor came in and said, look, everything's quiet in the operating room. Let's go just take Jacob out.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden things started changing. My husband's like, why are they going so quickly? And I'm like, and what do you say to the love of your life when you feel that D-Day has arrived?
Mm-hmm.
So I told him that I loved him very much and that he is the love of my life and that he should love and care for these children. And so I kissed my daughter goodbye, and your mother's instinct kicks in, and I smiled. I didn't want her to see me crying, and because I was convinced it was the last time I was ever going to see her.
Okay, so you said your goodbye, Stephanie, to everyone, and so now you go in, and what was the last thing you remembered?
The last thing I remember is them putting soap on my belly and getting ready to make the incision, and I do not remember the delivery, but ultimately Jacob was delivered, and he was fine and healthy and no problem, and 3 seconds later I was dead.
Okay, so now those 37 seconds. You know, we hear
Hmm.
stories about people who have passed away and they talk about, floating over their body and looking down, or they saw the light, or they
Hmm.
heard the music, or what happened to you? What did you experience?
So this is the interesting part. It took a long time for recovery, and when my story first hit, people were fascinated with the premonitions and intuition side of things. And at one point, a journalist had asked, "Did you see the light?" And I said, "I don't know. They gave me a lot of drugs. I don't remember." But I thought it was very irresponsible of me that if there was a way to find out, I was going to find out. And also, traditional therapy was not working for me. And I was not, every time I would ask the therapist or the doctors or anybody, how is it I saw everything 3 months before it happened in great detail? Nobody could give me an answer. So I ended up seeking out regression therapy. And regression therapy they use hypnotherapy to take you back into the moments of trauma. And I
Mm-hmm.
videotaped that therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the therapy sessions, you can actually see me go through a seizure and convulse and go through actually my body collapsing and crying hysterically. But then I talk about all the details of what happened in the operating room after I flatlined, from where the doctors were standing, who pushed the button for the code, what happened, which nurse actually, did the CPR on my chest, that the first time the crash cart was started up, it didn't work. The second time it did. And all things I couldn't have possibly known,
Mm-hmm.
nothing that would be in my medical records. So lucky for us, we have the tapes, and I can give them to the doctors that were present. So I give the tapes to the doctors, and they said, I don't know how you know any of this, but it's accurate. And so that was what made me understand that what I saw when I flatlined for 37 seconds, that was, I believed it 100%. So what I saw in the 37 seconds, this heavenly experience, I see the shooting star. I see it from a completely different perspective. So with therapy, they take you in as an observer. So you go in and I actually see everything happening in 3-dimensional. I see my body on the operating floor, and I see my spirit perpendicular to my body. And then at the moment of flatline, when I coded, you see a shooting star shoot up, so this flash of light. And then what I see are hundreds of spirits, not just the spirits that I know, but what messages were given to me directly from those people, but also people I did not know. And they looked familiar because they looked related to people I knew, and they had specific messages, including my husband's father, who had been passed since 1998, and then my best friend's little brother, who had passed away way before I met her. And so they had specific messages, things that I wouldn't have ever known. And I give those messages back to everybody that I had, that I were related to. And, they didn't mean anything to me, but when I saw their faces and I saw their reactions, I knew that this was real.
Stephanie, did you see God?
No, I did not see God. What I felt was a heavenly experience. It was warm, it was inviting, and it was almost like, if I can give you a visual, it was like 2 steps down from where the gates would be. So that I was getting to the entrance, and there were hundreds of people, almost like a crowd of paparazzi, waiting to greet me and say, oh, hi, it's good to see you, kind of thing. But I fought hard.
Did you see the crowd as human form, what we would comprehend,
Mm-hmm.
or were they like a light, an energy source?
Yeah, they were completely human.
Okay.
They were wearing their best outfits, and they looked like they had facials, like they just had a glow on their face.
Were you given the opportunity to stay? Did they ask you, would you like to stay, or did they say it's not time, you need to go back?
Yeah. So I start out the book by saying how my uncle told me in that moment. He said, "You've always known what to do. You're a fighter. You know what to do now. Go back and make them listen." But my uncle was with me this entire time through the premonitions and everything that I was going through. I think what they were doing in the moment that I was there, they were trying to distract me to not turn around, because you see me on the tapes, on the regression stuff, where I'm crying and I'm happy to see them and they're making me laugh, but they're trying to distract me from turning around. Because the second that I turn around, you see on the tapes that I feel this sharp pain through my stomach, and I'm starting to hyperventilate, and I'm going through this deep, deep pain. And my body's convulsing again because I turned around and saw them hacking at my body on the operating floor. So that, they were there just letting me know, it's great to see you. We are here for you, but it's not your time. And I said to them, I love you very much, but I don't want to be here.
Why do you think this happened to you, Stephanie? What do you think you needed to learn? And do you believe that you were chosen to come back and teach us something?
I look at what happened to me as I was in television for many, many years. And I feel like the curtain to Oz has been pulled back, and I've been very grounded and research-oriented my entire life. So to have something like this happen to me, I don't know whether the spirits, whether God decided, you know what, you are going to do your research and you are going to prove that this is real. So I like to use the fact that this happened and what am I going to do with this, that there's a responsibility in surviving. So my messages are very clear that your intuition is real, that if you sense something, you need to say something because it could save your life. So that's the first part of my message. The second part of my message is that we are absolutely 100% without a doubt not alone. And that just because the physical dies, that the spirit survives.
The book is 37 Seconds, Dying Revealed, Heaven's Help by Stephanie Arnold. If you would like to learn more about this amazing story or about Stephanie's book, you can visit her website, stephaniearnold.net. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Joan.
We'll be right back. Hi, this is Joan Herman, host of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Did you know that Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life has a free monthly digital magazine that can be read online or emailed to your inbox? Every month, nationally recognized leaders in their field provide information to educate, inspire, and motivate you. We believe in a holistic approach to life, incorporating mind, body, and spirit. Check out a copy of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life 24/7. Visit cyacyl.com and be sure to tell your friends. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided are the opinions of our guests and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read the digital magazine, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.